Hello and welcome to From the South, teleSur's daily news show. We start off in Latin America. Venezuela's opposition has rejected peaceful dialogue with the government of President Nicolas Maduro, which would have been mediated by the Vatican. This is the latest addition to increasing tensions between the two sides. The dialogue within the opposition coalition has also been divided over whether to hold talks with the government. Popular opposition face Enrique Capriles has encouraged his supporters to, quote, take Caracas on Wednesday. This has been interpreted by the government as a call for violence. Defense Minister Vladimir Padrino Lopez has warned against violent opposition members, adding that there is a foreign interventionist element involved. This systematic conduct isn't anything more than an undercover and perverse mechanism to promote interventionism, including the possible incursion of a foreign power into our national territory. Hundreds of protesters again took to the streets of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil on Monday to protest a constitutional amendment that would reduce public spending known as PEC 241. They held banners reading "Strike Against PEC" and "Fora Temer," meaning "Out with Temer," the Brazilian president. Critics of the amendment are fearful that education and health will be worst hit under the move. The Vatican and Argentina will soon release archives from the country's 1976-1983 dirty war, when a military dictatorship killed as many as 30,000 people in a crackdown on left-wing opponents. The archives contain about 3,000 letters between the Roman Catholic Church and family members of the dictatorship's victims. Human rights groups have accused Catholic officials of covering up abuses by the junta when it was in power. The archives will be made available exclusively to family of victims or victims still surviving. Former Uruguayan President Jorge BATLLE died on Monday after 10 days in intensive care following surgery for a blood clot generated by a blow to the head. BATLLE would have turned 89 on October 25th. He died at the American Hospital of Montevideo after being transferred from the hospital of Tacuarembó, where he underwent surgery to decompress a brain hematoma caused by the blow. BATLLE was a center-right politician from the Colorado Party who served as president from 2000 to 2005. In international news, Iraq's counter-terrorism forces continue their push toward Mosul. On their way to the Islamic State group's stronghold, they've started looking for militants in the recaptured village of Bazwaya. In the meantime, according to the head of the counterterrorism unit, coalition planes are targeting certain locations that the unit has informed them about. Pakistan is mourning the killing of at least 61 people in a brutal gun and suicide bomb assault on a police academy in the city of Quetta. Over 100 people were injured in the attack that was claimed by the Islamic State group. It was the deadliest attack on a security installation in the country's history. Pakistan's top military and intelligence command attended the funeral. After the UK government announced that it had approved plans for a third runway at Heathrow Airport, members of the climate activist group Plain Stupid protested outside of Parliament. The project will cost $22 billion. Critics say the expansion will be incompatible with the UK's climate change obligations it made after signing the Paris Climate Change Agreement. In Spain, acting Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy has accepted a mandate from King Felipe to seek Parliament's backing to form a new government, therefore ending 10 months of political deadlock. Although the Socialist Party agreed on Sunday to abstain in the vote that allowed Rajoy to lead a minority government, they said they will not give him a free hand in passing legislation. Bulldozers ripped through the CALAIS jungle refugee camp as the mass eviction of refugees from the site carried on into its second day. A group of workers dismantled the unoccupied tents and shacks by hand amid a heavy police presence. Around 2,700 people have already been bussed away to shelters around France.
The Press House in the Gaza Strip organized a photo gallery Tuesday titled "Incompleted Reconstruction." The goal is to shed light on the sufferings of thousands of Palestinians who were displaced from their homes during the last Israeli aggression on the besieged territory in 2014. The exhibition included a collection of videos and new pictures of the buildings and the areas that were severely damaged by Israel during the aggression, many of which have yet to be built.
There is clearly discrimination in the reconstruction of damaged homes. Some people have had their homes repaired, while many others are still living in caravans among ruins. It took us almost 1 day to take these pictures. These are new pictures of most of the damaged buildings and areas in the Gaza Strip.
The lack of funding, the Israeli restrictions imposed on the entry of building materials into Gaza have delayed the reconstruction of the Strip. About 60,000 displaced residents are still living in caravans or rental homes 2 years after the war. Caravans were intended as a temporary solution to the crisis for those who lost their homes during the war. In Khuza'a neighborhood east of Gaza City, a cluster of at least 70 homes lack proper equipment to keep out the cold of winter and the heat of summer. According to the UNRWA, the hostilities, which lasted 51 days, left $1.4 billion in direct and indirect damages and $1.7 billion in economic losses to Gaza. Also, 142,000 refugee homes were damaged. Of those, more than 9,000 were totally demolished. Nuhara Zain, TeleSur's TV, Gaza.
Finally, the former captain of the Brazilian soccer team and contemporary of Pelé, Carlos Alberto Torres, died earlier this Tuesday after having suffered a heart attack. Alberto captained the side to World Cup glory in 1970 and scored one of the most renowned goals of the competition's history in the final against Italy. And that's all for From the South. For more on these and other stories, you can visit our website, telesurtv.net/English.